Please state your full name for the jury.
Supreme Chancellor Adolf Hitler.
In your own words, please describe the events of your political rise to power.
Well, I began my rise to absolute power during the 1930s, where Germany was struck with the Great Depression. Although I was previously involved in attempting to establish a new German rule, it was not until the Brüning administration elections when my party was able to sweep 18% of the vote, making us the second largest party in all of Germany. Then, in the period of 1933 to 1937, where we implemented Gleichstellungstag, and were able to eliminate trade unions, thusly gaining totalitarian power. This was done through a series of decrees that suspended human rights and allowed the Nazi force to become absolute. Once I gained control, Germany rallied around me, sending complete support to my newly found power. With it, I was able to subject Germany to its true calling, the domination of the world. I began to revolutionize Germany by bolstering it economically and eliminating all threats.
Could you please describe what you mean by the phrase eliminating all threats?
Well, once I gained control, I knew that political opposition had to be taken care of, so the Nazi Party began carving a bloody swath through the opposing unions. However, I soon realized that the German dream could not come true, for Germany was inhabited by all forms of filth. These Jews roamed the streets unpunished for their sins, and Germany knew that this could not last. After the war began, I, with the support of millions, began rounding up the Juden or Schweinhunde for mass imprisonment and execution. This was done on a massive scale, and eventually millions of Jews, homosexuals, gypsies, cripples were stricken from harming Germany's goal of an Aryan race.
You stated the phrase Germany's goal. Can you please specify what that is?
Yes, I stated Germany's goal. And by this, I meant there was a unanimous support of me and my actions while I was in office. The masses fell before me and I was treated as a god in their eyes. For I brought about the cleansing of all of Germany's problems. For that, they were grateful.
The German people, that would be most of the people who live in Germany, correct?
By the time the top of my rule, we had over a 90% approval rate in our power. So yes, that would be everybody in Germany supporting me.
Please describe the overall treatment of those that were taken prisoner during those years.
I assure you, my men treated them exactly as they deserved, like animals. They were not fed properly, clothed properly, or even given clean water. They were forced to work day and night. At some points, we even forced them to run literally to death. This occurred not in one place, but many camps scattered throughout Germany. Places such as Auschwitz, Dachau, Buchenwald, dozens of others. We split families apart, removed all traces of their undeserved humanity, and eventually massacred and burned them by the thousands over the period of the war.
Were you alone responsible for Germany's actions during this time?
Although it was my dream for an Aryan race, it was soon taken and progressed by the majority of Germany. For millions of people willingly accepted and cherished my ideals. So I alone could obviously not be accredited with the systematic extermination of over 8 million individuals, as well as crimes against humanity. As the Nuremberg trials stated, everybody could be held accountable.
And what were some of your problems with those who were not German?
Well, the people who were not German that did not live up to my standards were not perfect. They were ruining this earth, and by so they had to be removed. To prove the documentation of the Nazi Party, we have a slide presentation going on here. As you can see here, this shows my unanimous support by the whole country. German rise to power, military leaders, everybody was together in this. This was not the work of one man. Once again, this is the March on the Reichstag, showing my rise to absolute rule. As you can see, millions of men are present. This is not the work of one man. The Nazi Party during the Reichstag ovation, the people loved me. They asked me to give me awards in Germany. And this is how they responded, by saluting me at every angle. Nazi shoulders, the Schweinhunde, this threat to our existence being executed. As you can see, we did this for millions of people over the period of the war. The Nuremberg trials, this is when, sadly, all of me and my men were persecuted for our holy acts and for creating a perfect world. Erwin Rommel, one of my best men. Without men like him, we could have not progressed. He was the desert fox. He stormed Africa. He fought battles. We need men like that. This is me and Benito Mussolini. This was not a one-country thing. This spanned throughout Europe. This is the Axis. This is my work. This is my power. This is me at the German War Rally along with staff. As you can see, this was not a one-time thing. This was common. There was always Nazi rallies. There was always power. And that is my presentation about the fulfillment of the Nazi rule.
One last question.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people did you and your party kill?
Between me, Mussolini, even Stalin can be considered. You could say 40, 50 million people, all on the road to our individual progression in the world.
Mr. Hitler, do you admit to being
That is Supreme Chancellor. Thank you.
bad? Supreme Chancellor, Mr. Hitler. Sir, do you admit to being a bad person?
Of course not. How could I be considered a bad person? I was doing the work of God. We were doing all the work to eliminate the threats from the world.
Do you admit that you have murdered millions of innocent people?
Of course, it was all on the road to progression. Me and my followers, millions of men, stormed Europe. We stormed the world. We were going to take it by storm.
So why did you initiate the Holocaust when you had Jewish blood?
Because I never considered myself part of my own Aryan race. I am not up to the standards, but it was my work to create the spectrum for the rest of the world to follow long after I was gone.
And did you have sex with a Jewish prostitute?
Pardon me?
Did you have sex with a Jewish prostitute at any point over your long, illustrious career?
No, I do not recall having sex with Jewish prostitutes.
Theo Morel, your doctor claimed that you may have had syphilis, and one of the long-term effects of that sexually transmitted disease.
Objections. Is this relevant?
Counsel, I understand you're building a case regarding Hitler's relations. Please get closer to where you need to be.
Hi. One of the long-term effects of this disease, syphilis, whom your doctor Theo Morel said you had or may have had, is insanity.
Objection sustained. Counsel, in the case of the cross-examination, you can only derive the information from the witness. However, you can use information later on during the summation to only derive from the witness in this particular case.
Okay. So, did you at any point over your life suffer from ulcers, loss of vision, paralysis, or insanity?
Are you asking me, or do you wish to show me a copy of my own medical transcripts?
Well, I do not have said copy, but I heard that some existed from your doctor.
Objection here, sir.
Right. Your doctor Theo Morel said, and he wrote down in a codified book that you may have had those symptoms. Can you refute that in any way?
Could you specify this book for me?
I cannot.
Well, I do not recollect this question, but I'm sure that people in desperate times will write down anything to separate themselves from me.
Mm-hmm. But if you did have this sexually transmitted disease that some people said you had, would you accept responsibility for the lives you destroyed?
Of course. I mean, I do not recollect having this disease, and B, you cannot show me source of disease. So, in your question, I would have to say that me, along with my party, comprised of millions of people, yes, it was all for the greater good that I did this work. But in the end, this work was done, and whether it is your opinion that it was good or it was evil, it was done. So yeah, I don't really have a yes or no answer for that question.
Now, what would you say would be a satisfactory explanation for your sleep deprivation, dislike of physical touching, and an inability to communicate one-on-one with people, all symptoms of autistic psychopath?
In the period of being a Nazi totalitarian dictator, I was attemptedly assassinated many times. Of course, I mean, under fear of risk, how could one sleep when you have the greatest work in the world to do? How could you sleep? How could you be touched? If you're killed, your work goes right down the drain. You are nothing. Of course, I was more concerned with my greater goal than I was with my own health.
serious nature behind what we had heard from our witnesses and as Osama bin Laden and as Adolf Hitler does not reflect the individuals who play those characters. It is very serious that we do that. There are a lot of people who are getting in trouble because it is not necessarily noted of the nature of what had happened under these individuals. Bobby has never been, nor ever wishes to espouse the ideology of one Adolf Hitler, nor does Holger one of the Osama bin Laden. While our initial reaction, either out of fear, discomfort, or just, making light of the subject, allows us to gloss over it. As an educator, it would be absolutely insane of me not to bring that to your attention. We're putting humanity on trial as a matter of fiction. What had happened, as a matter of fact, is something that hopefully, as those of us who study history, we will learn from it so that we do not repeat it again. And that's one to grow on.